This is Girish Nair from Contrast Security. Today, I'll be giving you a quick demo of Contrast Security app for Splunk. You can download the app from the marketplace or from our open source repository. You can go to GitHub, and this is the URL for the Splunk app. If you go to the releases folder, you can get the latest from there. We also have instructions on how to set up the app in the README files. So for starters, you would download the plugin from Marketplace or from the open source repository. Then you would log into Splunk, click the settings page, and then click on Install App from File. For brevity, I already have Contrast Security installed. The first thing that you need to do once you set up Contrast Security, is to define a UDP receiver. So if you go to Settings, Data Inputs, and if you go into UDP, Contrast Security is going to send all SIM events as a syslog event using CEF format. You can use the syslog port 514, or you can define your own port. It doesn't matter. So, but the most important thing is that you define the source type as contrast events. This will make sure that the correct parser picks up these events and reports on it properly. On the on the contrast side, you need to make sure that you are sending events to the right server and port. So if I go into my organization settings and look at the servers, you can see that they are streaming to my Splunk on the port that I'm using, which is 8514. So as long as you can make sure that this port matches the port you define, then the event should be delivered without any problem. So assuming this is set up, if I come back to my Splunk app, as soon as you log in, you will see the main dashboard. So this dashboard shows you data from various time frames. I'm going to change it to the last 30 days. And you can see that it's reporting on attacks blocked. It's reporting on attacks by applications and attacks by type. So in my demonstration, I have only SQL injection and CSRF attacks. But if there are other attacks like command injection or cross-site scripting, they will all show up here. Okay, so these graphs are all these graphs are drilled down. So you can click on any particular item and go deep into it. So you can see that these are the contrast events in the last 30 days that has an outcome of probed. And in the far left, you can see that the contrast app adds a parser, which is pulling in all this information from the contrast events. Okay. We also have one built-in report that, if you were to choose, would show you all the events that are coming from Contrast Security. In addition to the attack dashboard, we also have a dashboard that shows you the origin of attacks. So you can see here that attacks are coming from different parts of the world. The contrast agent sends all this information to Splunk, and Splunk is then able to map that IP address to the geolocation. You can also use the Splunk query language to do advanced searches. You don't just have to rely on our reports. You can create your own dashboards and reports. So the only unique thing is you can either type event type equal to contrast event type, or you could do source type equal to contrast events, and that should show you all the events coming from contrast. And if you recall, this was the same thing that we set in the settings page. Okay. So this concludes my demo of the Splunk app, but I also want to let you know that you could also receive events from our vulnerability assessment using webhooks. And to do that, you can go to settings and define a URL receiver. So here I'm receiving I'm defining an endpoint on port 8009. You can you can change it to any port that you want, and you can define a unique URL path, and contrast sends the data in JSON format. So I have chosen JSON as the source type. On the contrast side, you need to define that integration with webhooks. So if you go to organization settings, integrations, you can define a generic webhook. And here I'm giving my IP address of my Splunk server, the port 8009 or whichever one you have configured, and the unique path. And then if you click test URL, you know that it's connected. So when new vulnerabilities are found, you can define notification criteria. And here I'm saying that I want Splunk to be notified when new vulnerabilities that are higher or critical are discovered, and as well as attacks, but that's optional. You can define what you want to see in Splunk. So if I go back to my Splunk app and I do a generic search and I look for source type equals JSON, because that's what we defined, you can see that Contrast is sending uh, vulnerability information into Splunk. So you can see that this message says that a new critical vulnerability was found in Pet Clinic app. And it's also giving you the URL for the application and for the application, the server. Okay. Hope this was helpful to you. Thank you for listening.